Welcome to Hora New Zealand. Education is one of New Zealand's important economic drivers, with thousands of international students living and working here. COVID 19 has thrown a major spanner in the works in New Zealand education, like it has in every business sector. Today, we have with us Brijesh Sethi, who established and heads the New Zealand School of Education and the New Zealand Skills and Education Group. NZSEG, as it is abbreviated, comprises two top quality private training establishments. Brijesh believes that education must be accessible to all students, particularly those disadvantaged in lower socio-economic group and falling through the compulsory education system. Education is one of the most challenging industries, he says, but a rewarding and satisfying one to work in. NZSEG, according to Brijesh, has survived and thrived by being agile and flexible in its approach and having rock solid processes and strong networks in the education sector. How is it facing up to the COVID challenge? Let's talk to Brijesh. Hi, Brijesh, and welcome to Hora New Zealand.
Kia ora, Dev. Thank you. Thanks for bringing me on and giving me this opportunity to talk to the community.
Thanks. We're going through some real, unreal times, so to speak, and nothing like this has ever happened. And, with New Zealand, and especially in the education sector, which was really a trailblazer for the New Zealand economy,
Mhm.
sport education sector. It's been really unfortunate that it's been so badly hit by COVID-19, just like our other service industries like tourism. You're at the very forefront of it, and you've got a ringside view of what's been happening in the sector for the last few years as a leader in the forefront. So, what are the three big challenges that COVID 19 has brought upon the New Zealand education sector? I'm sure you have a very informed view of this.
Yes, Dave. I've been actually quite actively involved as a chair of Quality Tertiary Institutions, which is a group of large funded institutes within New Zealand, and also like taking part in bi-weekly meetings with the interagency, like with the Ministry of Education and ZQA, and constantly discussing the issues and the challenges we have due to the situation and how do we overcome together as a team. Um, One main challenge was obviously changing the whole mode of delivery from the domestic side of things, where most of our courses are face to face, and most of our institutes delivered the old traditional way. And it was a huge shift for us to move from that mode into the online mode. Huge shift for our families, our students who had to study in that mode as well. So I think credit goes to everybody who actually adapted quite quickly and really well to the situation. Um, that was, I think, one of the main challenges from the domestic point of view. And obviously, along with that comes challenges of student support, student engagement. How do we keep them engaged in studies, and those kind of challenges? Again, we had to step up. As I said earlier, I've never been so busy in my life compared to what I have been since the lockdown. I know people, especially in retail, tourism, they they've been frustrated because there's been no work. But for us, it's been like just too much work taking on. With international market, again, that's another point too, which has affected quite drastically, as you know, when the borders closed, and it just the whole thing vanished, basically, the whole international market. We have onshore international students who were there. Many of them have selected not to continue with their studies for some time because the environment is so uncertain. And also, their visas, most of them were extended till September. So they did not be engaged in any sort of studies. So again, there are a lot of challenges. And I think I would also like to comment on the government agencies who've done, according to me, a wonderful job. in working dynamically with the sector, especially I can speak for tertiary sector. I think they've done a good job. It's been hard work. They've put in a lot of hard work as well, along with us, to constantly ensure that the things are there and things are as much as possible available for us to operate.
Have you
So
had to let go of any of your staff or your people in this process?
yeah, we're still going through that. Obviously, I mean, I've got an English language school called Seafield School of English, which is affected more than my other institute, which is New Zealand School of Education. The Seafield School of English, it's all, as you can imagine, it's all international students. So yeah, we are working through that process now. Yeah, so it's hard times, whatever said and done. It's a tough time.
So, what's the strategy going forward with international, flights not likely to open in anytime soon? So, this particular school that you were talking about just now, which depends almost completely on international students, what's the future for it?
Um, well, to be honest, there's no future if the borders don't open. There is no other way we can be providing English language as a course. I mean, we can understand if we can do some part online to overseas students, but predominantly they need to be here. They need to experience the English language, the culture, and our country, to be honest, in that kind of environment. And I think New Zealand is one of the preferred countries in terms of English language training. So there is the future is not very good if we don't open up the borders in a calculated manner, which we are discussing now. And how do we go about in, just to ensure that we are looking at the safety and of the local people and local communities also, or predominantly that main thing, and then opening up the economy by letting some international students come in, uh, flights permitting. That's another challenge. Where if there are no flights, then there's no point having this discussion even.
Right. Is the sector generally happy with what the government has done in response to your special needs now in the situation? And secondly, what about the budget? Is the sector and yourself in particular, are you happy with what the budget has provided for the education sector in the recovery?
Um, Look, in terms of the government, being happy with the government, I think they have provided as a lot of support in the changing environment. There are frustrating points like sometimes they're overcautious. I believe the immigration, the government has not been very flexible, not that flexible from immigration point of view, the relaxation of rules and around compared to other countries. If we compare ourselves to Canada, Australia, um, I think we've been a bit more rigid than them. And as far as the budget is concerned, to be honest, I don't have the details yet of the budget. It looks they have obviously invested more money into tertiary education and education in general, but I don't have the details of where exactly that is all going.
Um, there has been a lot of debate going on about the education sector, and especially in the media, and there's been a lot of politics around it also leading up to COVID. Do you see this crisis as an opportunity to reset the sector in any way?
Um, I that's what I've been telling my team as well. I think we are in a different era now after COVID. I like to call it as PC, like BC, AD, and now PC, post COVID. And in the post COVID era, I think things will be different. The way we do things, the way we work. I mean, if you look at people working from home, I think people, some of them or most of them, I think they've enjoyed working from home as well as an option. So there'll be definitely changes. I think this is a time to reset our whole system and how we go around doing things. And so much has changed in the last 6 weeks even.
Does that mean you will also consider taking more of your courses online?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, there'll be more online blended formats. And I think there's a whole change in attitude from the government's section as well, like, from NZQA, from the Ministry of Education. They are looking at it more favorably, like, yeah, than earlier what they have done. So I think there's definitely a change coming through and going to stay with us as well.
So does
It's
that
not
mean you can
temporary.
still do your international outreach with online education? That's quite easy to do it that way.
Uh, we can, but in terms of, again, I'm talking about the experience of our New Zealand as a brand. They need to come here. I mean, we as a brand, in this whole global economy, is for our natural scenery, our beautiful country, and our culture, our lovely people. So it's just that whole interaction with the system rather than just studies. We are. I think we are different in our approach and how we approach this global or export education, where it's more of an it's as much as for an experience as well as study. So offshore, yes, online offshore will work to a certain extent, but I don't see it replacing our export education, which is face to face.
Yes, so these changes seem to be coming on suddenly and at so many levels. How do you how will the sector cope with this whole thing? And is it still groping in the dark, or is there a way forward, or what's really
Um,
the sense that you're getting from the sector, since you're very much involved in the in the whole sector?
I think it's a very agile kind of approach, and as we face challenges, we overcome them as we go, because there have been challenges which no one was prepared for, and no one knew they are coming. It's coming. So I think it's quite an agile, and our approach towards this has been agile as well, and quick and flexible. Um, Again, as I said, the government agencies have been fantastic in actually stepping up their game as well, along with providers. I've always felt education, being in education, is one of the most challenging industry because there's so much of external levers which you have to go around with, and this has just gone up to a different level. But I think, yeah, we've come out of it, and we are coming out of it rather with a lot of learning, a lot of capability development, which will keep us going for the future as well.
What are your basic strategies now to come out of this, to ride out the storm?
I wish I had one, Dave, because we're just developing as I said, as we go. So at this stage, I think what the future looks like is more of online and blended delivery, more of people working from home or flexible learning hours. So the whole thing, and to a certain extent, maybe less reliance on international education as well. Depending on how it turns up. Because again, I mean, yeah, it's just hard to predict anything, isn't it? It's been hard. I mean, I've been 16 years in this industry, and there have been so many challenges in the last 16 years. Sometimes the immigration policy changes on you, and then everything changes because the students don't want to come anymore. And yeah, sometimes the policy of funding changes. Sometimes, yeah. So, and this time it's affecting everything across the board. So we yeah, I think we'll come better out. We'll come out stronger and better.
Finally, how do you think teachers should reskill themselves now to blend in with the new realities?
So the teachers,
Yes, how would they reskill themselves? Because most of them will be again working from home. They'll be delivering online. There won't be that person-to-person contact as much as there was before. So, what sort of mindsets do they have to, continue?
um yeah, I think there's an opportunity to let go of the old school here and adapt the new ways of doing things. And obviously, the people who will do it quicker will be better off in the future. Um, I think there's an opportunity to upskill in your online pedagogy, for example. How you're doing it. It's all different ways of doing things. How you're engaging your students. It's not as easy being in the class and just picking up someone who's not engaged. So there's a lot of learning here, and I think the teams or the institute where the culture is to learn and to grow, I think those will excel rather than those who are going to stick to the old ways of doing things.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Brijesh, and all the best. And we do hope that the education sector, which has done New Zealand so much proud,
Mm.
will bounce back and again lead the charge into the post-COVID world. Thank
Yeah,
you
I'm
again.
sure we will. Thank you. Thanks, Dave.